anyone need a pen? Okay. So the form that we just passed out to you is what's called a confidentiality agreement. And we want to go over a little bit more of first why we're having you sign this form, as well as kind of what this form entails in terms of your work with our office this year. So confidentiality is a topic or a particular matter that's really taken with the utmost seriousness in our office, particularly whenever you are present in our office and you might hear me shouting to my colleague across the hallway about a conversation I had with a prospective student, or it might be that a prospective student shares information with you, or that you happen to see personal information of a prospective student. We want to really acknowledge and value their privacy, and so we ask you to refrain from sharing any confidential information from a visitor or prospective student that you would be privy to in your work as a volunteer in our office. We ask that you refrain from sharing any of this information or conversations outside of our office. And this is, again, just to be able to protect anyone that shares their information within our office in that context from having their information shared in another place where they would not want that information given out. So when you're signing this form, you're essentially saying that you will keep all conversations and information that you receive as a part of being in the office confidential. Do you have any questions at all about that? Okay, great. So a few other things that I want to talk a little bit about, and once everyone has had the chance to sign these forms, does anyone still need time to sign? Okay. If you want to just pass towards the front of the room here, and I'll go ahead and collect them for each section. Before we get into the last couple minutes here of the welcome session, I do have one more form that I'm going to send around to each of you, and that is a cell phone verification. So essentially, as a part of the Tour Guide Executive Board's work during the academic year, they're communicating with you really closely over the app that I know is very widely used across Colgate's campus, GroupMe. To be able to remind you that you are giving a tour that morning, or that your time slot is coming up to be able to come into our office. And so since this is the primary vehicle of communication that we use in our office to be able to reach you, we want to make sure that your cell phone information is up to date. Starting right over here with Kaylee, I'm going to pass this form around, and essentially if you can just look for your name, it is alphabetical, so it should be fairly easy to find. Make sure that the cell phone number that we have on file is accurate and put a check mark next to it if it's correct, or fill it in if it has changed. That would be great, and you can do that over the next few sessions that we have together. One last final housekeeping item, logistical piece that I want to talk about is the middle course reminder. Yes? Oh. That would be helpful. Absolutely. So I sent all of you an email on Monday about a reminder to complete kind of your one homework assignment for training. And that is a Moodle course that's designed to familiarize you with the Equity Grievance Policy, or EGP, process that we have in place on Colgate's campus. So I will ask for each of you to please go in, and it shouldn't take too much of your time to be able to go in and just familiarize yourself and take that course, so that whenever we go into our session bright and early with Lynn Rugg, who is the Title IX coordinator, among other amazing responsibilities and work that she does on our campus, She's going to be talking with you, and that way you are familiarized with a few of the terms that she'll use, so we can just dive right into the content that she wants to share with you. So please make sure that you go in and do that before 10 a.m. Tomorrow morning at our training. Also, I think really important to keep in mind that we want to be very respectful of the people that are taking the time to present these training sessions to us. They are campus partners who are, again, taking their time to share this information with you as a very important role that you're in. And so we just want to show them our utmost respect for their time and give them our full attention. And so the last thing that I want to share as well, you had an attendance sheet that started off this welcome session. Make sure that for each session that you're attending, you find the attendance sheet for that particular session and you check your name off. The reason being, we are videotaping all of this training for folks that might have other professional commitments and can't be here for everything. Don't make more work for yourself, because I will send you the video if you don't check your name off for a session. And if you say, oh, but I was actually there, I won't really know if you were or not unless I have that check mark. So it's really important that you remember to find that attendance sheet and then it gets to you for each session. That way you're not making more work for yourself of having to watch the video for a session that you've already attended and answer questions about a session that you've already attended. So in our last few minutes that we have here together, I want to talk a little bit more about a few pieces of the tour guide manual that we have some updates on. All of you had the opportunity to shadow, co-lead, and ultimately be signed off on your tours last semester. But we have a brand new building that has magically manifested itself, has been constructed by very hard workers on our campus. And so Benton Hall has officially opened to the larger campus community, and we have implemented it into the tour route. So you will see in the tour guide manual that I sent out to each of you in a PDF format via email that we have Benton Hall incorporated into the tour guide manual directly after you exit the Ho Science Center. So I do ask each of you to go in and familiarize yourself with the talking points that are related to what we want to share about Benton Hall and the Center for Career Services, as well as a few other offices of fellowships and scholarships that are in that office as well. You can see whenever you scroll down in the tour guide manual that it gives you a little bit more information whenever you go to the Ho Science Center. You'll see that you enter the Science Center, it gives you some talking points here. You will see that it takes you in towards Benton Hall, and we'll give you some talking points whenever you go down to the footnote for Benton Hall, which is on page 19, it's footnote 17. That will give you a little bit more information in terms of what to talk about as you enter that space. It's also really important to keep in mind that the layout of Benton Hall in and of itself is a very open space. And so we want to make sure that we're being respectful to the conversations or meetings that are happening in there, especially whenever we have larger tours that are going on. But you'll see here that there are some pretty extensive points that talk about the different advising suites as well as the building itself. So we definitely want you to familiarize yourself with these aspects. Some final points that you will have seen as a part of the tour guide manual in the past, but I just want to reinforce in our last couple minutes that we have here before we talk a little bit more about the Colgate message, is first and foremost attendance. I can't stress enough, and I hope that what I shared with you at the beginning of this welcome really helped to kind of exemplify this point, is that we rely so much on our volunteer tour guides to be prompt and to be excited for going out on tour and ready to go out on tour. Whenever you're signing up for that weekly time slot, you are committing to being at our office to be able to provide a service or experience to a student who may have traveled thousands of miles to be here on Colgate's campus. And so we want to respect the time and resources that that student and their guests may have put into being here with us today. So keep that in mind as you are signing up for your time slots, that it is very, very important that you're on time, that you're, again, respecting those visitors and the resources they've put into being here, but that also we are able to rely on you, and we're able to know that you're going to be here when you say you will. And if for whatever reason we realize this is a college campus, sickness happens, sometimes at the drop of a hat before you even realize it, things come up, we're human, and we're also human in our office, we understand that. So please know that it's not an issue if you do have a week where you're not able to come in for your tour. That doesn't mean that you're scheduling outside meetings during your tour slot and saying, oh, well, it's okay, Julie said I can not be at my tour this week. We want to make sure that any outside commitments, we want you to see this as a commitment where you're saying, oh, sorry, I can't do this at this time, I'm giving a tour that week. Academics are first and foremost the vast majority of your experience here and the priority of your experience. And we want that to definitely stay the case. But whenever we think about outside commitments that you have, such as meetings or club organization meetings, we want this to be one of your commitments and priorities. And so don't see this as a time to be scheduling meetings with other departments or offices. See this as something that you've committed to doing each week. But if you do need to communicate to me something that's come up, communication is really the key. I'm always on my email. You'll have your executive member as a guide and resource for you. Please make sure that you are just in communication with us. And if you're communicating and being proactive and reaching out, then we're not going to have any problems. The last thing that I want to share as well is just a little bit more about attire, student-appropriate attire. We do ask that you please refrain from using any sort of sunglasses, wearing hats that might be able to distort the view during the tour, no chewing gum. It's just going to interfere with visitors interacting with you in a positive way. We definitely encourage you to wear Colgate gear. I think it's completely fine to come in a Colgate t-shirt and jeans. Absolutely, we want to represent our school and our university. We do ask that you refrain from wearing anything that could be considered an offensive graphic, as well as other colleges or universities whenever you're out on tour. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Making sure that you're presentable. I think that it really does come down to, we want you to dress as a student because you are a student. But please keep in mind again that we want to make sure that we're representing not only the student body, but our office, and so that you're coming in presentable, ready, both mentally as well as just in your presence and in your representation of the school to give a tour that day. A positive attitude really is everything with this position. Being able to come in and be a reliable but also friendly face for getting information and providing a customer service experience to our students that are joining us here on campus. So we realize sometimes things happen where you have a lot going on, you have a paper that's due the next day, you might be really stressed out with an exam, you might have had an unsavory experience on tour, whatever the case may be. If you ever need a moment to just vent and you need a moment to just talk through a situation that you have or something that's going on, please know that my door is always open. Your executive board member is always there to be able to be a resource as well. But we always want to make sure that while you have that outlet to really kind of share the experiences that you're having, we want to make sure that the students that are coming into our office are having a positive visit experience. So that customer service and being there as a helpful, friendly, enthusiastic resource for them really is a priority. And if you feel like you're not able to do that, then come find one of us. Come find someone on the campus visit team, on the exec board, or find me and know that we'll be here to support you. So, without further ado, I want to take a pause here before I present our next speaker and just see if there are any last minute questions, concerns. We're going to have a vast majority of the morning here together, but is there anything that's on your mind from any of the information I've shared, anything that we've talked about? Awesome. All right, thank you guys so much. I'm going to take a seat here and actually have Erin Millen come up and join me, who is in the back of the room here, who's going to talk to you a little bit more about the Colgate message. And Erin is our campus visit coordinator and has a really large hand in the campus visit experience that students have here. So I will let her take it away.
Hi everyone, good morning.
Morning.
Hi. Okay, so this is the first thing I want you to do. I want you to stand up and find someone else in the room that you don't know. I want you guys to do this too, and I want you to introduce yourself and sit next to them for the next 30 minutes. Okay, so everyone get up and move. Find someone you don't know, introduce yourself.